Welcome to an all-new episode of SJHL Weekly across the SJHL social media platforms. Hopefully, everybody had a great weekend enjoying the start of the 2023 playoffs presented by UPL, and you also caught your breath after some very exciting hockey. Of course, we will recap the first two games of each series in the SJHL. We'll also be joined by Lucas Ceccarelli of the Humboldt Broncos, get his thoughts on the first two games. And we're also going to do our playoff fantasy draft, which is very exciting for the four of us, including producer Clark in the back. But let's bring in the boys, Rory and Jamie. Fellas, how are we after the first weekend of the playoffs?
Great.
Yeah.
Some awesome hockey around the SJHL, all right? A couple surprises, a couple teams taking early advantages, and you mentioned that fantasy draft. I know Nugesy's been up all night researching the players in the playoffs, and he loves anything to do with a draft. So, I mean, I love when people comment and chime in.
Yeah.
They think if we're picking the right players, wrong players, so feel free to do that. It'll be after Lucas Ceccarelli in the show.
100%. Nugesy, how's the weekend?
Yeah, really good. Called some AAA female Saskatchewan League, Regina and Notre Dame. What a great game yesterday. The Hounds found a way to shut down St. Cloud State D1 commit Greta Henderson, who dominated the Saskatchewan League. So shout out to the Sask U18 AAA female league. Very good hockey, and I enjoyed that as well as watching a lot of SJ playoffs.
Yes, there was a lot of great hockey across the province over the weekend, so let's get right into the first 2 days of the SJHL playoffs, and let's start with Friday night. 4 game ones on tap, and the Flin Flon Bombers earning a 4-1 win over the Estevan Bruins. The biggest surprise probably of the weekend, the Weyburn Red Wings with a 3-2 win over the Battleford North Stars in game 1. Humboldt with a 5-1 win over Nipawin, and the Orange Ice Wolves with a 3-1 victory on the road in Melfort Friday night. Then shifting to Saturday and 4 game 2s on the schedule. The Flin Flon Bombers took a 2-0 series lead with a 5-2 victory over Estevan. Battleford's even up their series at 1 with a 5-2 win of their own. Another dominant performance by the Humboldt Broncos, 7-1 over the Nipawin Hawks. And the Melfort Mustangs won 3-2 in overtime. Not 3-3 in overtime, but that series is tied up. Game's still going. Matty Barrett staying up for 48 hours. But of course, all of our recaps and lookbacks are presented by Sask Lotteries. And fellas, let's start, I think, with the biggest surprise of the weekend, and that was the Weyburn Red Wings going out on the road, game 1, hostile environment, and winning 3-2 on the road to earn a split against the Battleford North Stars. Nugsy, I'll start with you. Just your thoughts. You said that was the series you watched the most this weekend.
Yeah, I watched it closely. I was really curious how Cody Mapes would set up his Weyburn Red Wings, because I figured, guys, he had 2 choices, right?
Right.
In an 8v1, when you're the 8 seed, you have 2 choices. If you're a team that likes to be on the front foot, get in the other team's face.
Sure.
Weyburn Red Wings is that type of team. Do they change? Do they sit back? Do they try to survive? Do they try to make it ugly? Do they try to eke it out? Or do they stick to their guts and stick to their guns and play the way that they want to play? And the way that they went about it was they stuck to Weyburn Red Wings hockey, what Cody Mapes wanted his team to do, get in their face. And they took 8 penalties and gave Battleford's 8 power plays. And if I were to say to you, they give Battleford's 8 power plays, it's not going to go well probably for Weyburn. But it went pretty well. Dazza Mitchell was really good. They killed penalties extremely well there in game 1 and took advantage of their own power plays. In fact, Weyburn scored, I believe, 4 of their 5 goals over the weekend on their own power plays. So I always talk about, what I talk about, Rory? 2 things. What are the things I was talking about?
Goaltending, special teams.
Goaltending, special teams. And the Weyburn Red Wings got great goaltending from Dazza Mitchell, a 920-something save percentage, and power play clicking. I think Weyburn's got to be happy, boys, with a split. Very happy.
100%. That's exactly what they needed to accomplish, right? No one was really giving them any room in this series,
100%.
right? Everyone picking Battleford's sweep, Battleford's 5 games, but they knew they needed to go in there, get 1 game on the road. Let's steal home ice advantage. Weyburn is one of the better teams in their own rink.
Sure are.
And now they have home ice advantage, right? Battleford's, they're going to be tough to slow down. We saw that with the 4-goal outburst in game 2 by Kean Bell again, right? 5 goals now in 2 games. Unbelievable, but you just can't stop them, right? So, but Weyburn got the goaltending. They're taking advantage of a really porous Battleford's North Stars penalty kill, which was not great in the regular season. It's below 70% now in the playoffs, allowing 4 goals on 13 times. They've taken the most times shorthanded, so they're going to have to try to clean up discipline, and they're going to have to work on their PK, because that's what's going to allow Weyburn to put a scare into the North Stars, which is what they had to do.
Right.
They had to get in their heads, hey, we're going to be right here. You're not going to roll over us. And I think they did that in spades. So Weyburn, that's what they wanted. Steal that game. And then, of course, we saw Battlefords in the second one rebound. They're going to win some games in this series, right?
1,000%.
But Weyburn, you got to be impressed. That was just a big gutsy win. Mitchell, 42 shots, 39 saves. So everything that had to go right went right in game one for the Weyburn Red Wings.
Yeah, and you mentioned Kean Bell too. He had 5 of their 7 goals over the 2 days too.
Yeah, I mean, hey, and they were all different ways. You think about Kean Bell's just stepping in the slot and sniping. He scored greasy goals. He scored goals out of piles. He scored blue paint goals, as well as his typical bullets from wherever he's going to get them. But the thing that it was really interesting for me to see was, you talked about, Rory, there, the battle for his North Stars. PK needs to figure something out. Certainly they do, but I think Cody Mapes deserves credit, and the Weyburn Red Wings deserve a lot of credit for adding another interesting little wrinkle. We saw Blake Norris. Really, really good year. One of the guys maybe that missed out on the SJMJ showcase that could have been there, defenseman there for the Weyburn Red Wings. He was very kind of free roll. He scored a goal, deflecting a puck in as a D-man in front of the net on a redirect. How often do you see a D-man be the one in front redirecting a puck in? But he's got a bit of an interesting role on this Weyburn power play. Cody Mapes introduced a few new wrinkles. And the biggest thing for beating Battlefords is you need to manage that puck well over blue lines. I know that sounds obvious, but their forwards go way up the ice quick. Their D manage the puck really well. They get it up to those forwards quick. So if you're loose with the puck and the D-men have time and space to get it up to the Kean Bells and the Steve Kesslings of the world and time and space, then you're done. But the Weyburn Red Wings did a nice job of limiting what the Battlefords want to do over these 2 games. And as you mentioned, Rory, Kean's going to get his and Battlefords is going to get theirs. But I think they executed their game plan really well. And game 3 in Weyburn tomorrow is going to be real interesting.
It's going to be awesome.
It's going to be awesome. It's going to be a great environment. And to finish off that series, to Rory's point, Weyburn 17-9-2 at home during the regular season.
Just try and hang on there for the Weyburn.
Try and hang on.
It's a tough ride with the Battlefords North Stars, but they're doing a great job.
Exactly. All right, let's move on to Humboldt and Nipawin. 2 wins for the Humboldt Broncos at home, holding serve. Rory, get your thoughts on the Broncos. I think 2 impressive wins over the Nipawin Hawks.
Yeah, I don't really think you can take too many negatives, if any, away from what the Humboldt Broncos did. They know they needed to get out early on the Nipawin Hawks. They needed to impose their will at home, and they had a 3-0 lead after both first periods.
Yeah.
They outshot them 34-12 in the first period as well. So they really just took advantage of the game early. And when you do that with as deep of a team as Humboldt, it just allows you to roll your lines after that.
1,000%.
Right? You can roll your lines, and we know how deep that forward unit is. You're going to try to shut down the Zilke, Tim Kim, Van Blair-Com line, but then out comes Cage Newens, right, and Maddox Amaral. Or after that, then you got to deal with Sam Marburg, who you said was the X factor. It's just a lot, and it wears down on you. So if you're not in the game forcing them to, play a little bit different than just having fun, roll out the lines, you're going to be in trouble. And I think that's what Humboldt did. They got out early. They really controlled puck possession. They won puck battles. They seemed to want it more. And the Nipawin Hawks, they're just kind of feeling that wrath of a very experienced and deep Humboldt team.
Very deep. And, quickly from the Humboldt side, man, Spencer Bell is a real force. I think he'll be even more of a force in the playoffs because he knows where to go. He sticks his nose in, gets those blue paint goals. He's strong on his stick. And I think, that takes me to with the Nipawin Hawks, what they need to do a lot better in the cage is there was a lot of, not easy, but simple loose sticks for the Humboldt Broncos that they could, find pucks in blue paint. There wasn't a lot of hard Nipawin sticks on the Humboldt Broncos sticks. And what I mean by that is there wasn't a lot of physicality. Like the Hawks were not able to put bodies a lot on the Humboldt Broncos. And the last thing I'll say is, again, I'm sure Tad Kozin, watching a lot of video, the video isn't pretty. Going to give credit to Humboldt. I'm not here to hammer the Nipawin Hawks. Obviously, going to the EPA is tough. As you said, a very deep lineup. But they got to back check a lot harder than that. They got to compete a lot harder in the defensive blue paint than that. If they're going to find a way to crawl back into this series, of course, they're going to try to use that emotion in the cage. But there's a lot of details that the Hawks did not take care of in the EPA. And you give the Broncos credit, but I'm sure Tad Kozin says, how could we take care of ourselves a lot better than that?
Well, the Broncos were making the goaltenders' lives nightmare. They were getting bodies in front of the net.
100%.
You know,
Yeah, they
that's
were.
how you get goals into the playoffs. And you mentioned Spencer Bell. Scott Barney always compares him to a Thomas Holmstrom, Johan Franzen type mule player, right? He's just strong and in front of the net, and one of those players that's making the goaltenders' lives miserable. Speaking of goaltenders, though, we didn't know what Humboldt would do prior to the season. They end up sticking to that same mindset of a true 1A, 1B, and both goaltenders identical stats, one shot apart. I think it was 34 saves on 35 shots for Picklick, and then 33 saves on 34 shots from O2. So, you know what? They're going to continue to go back and forth. I love that mindset. I think both goaltenders support each other. They're their biggest cheerleaders when the other's not playing, right? So that was another interesting wrinkle. But Humboldt, their power play was 60%. Their penalty kill was 100%. Outscore them 12-2, outshot them, whatever it was. But it was really just a picture-perfect performance for Humboldt.
And hard to blame Jackson Fellner. Like,
not at all.
Again,
No, 100%.
He wasn't the problem for Nipwin.
No, he wasn't. No, 100%.
No, but I think coming back to it, I think it's for Nipwin. They are a young team that the only player on that team that had any playoff experience going into the postseason was Carson Dobson as an affiliate when he was 17. And I think you mentioned skating and back checking harder. It's adjusting to a different level of hockey, a level that obviously the players aren't used to, and we'll see if they can now adjust, returning home at the Cage Tuesday night. Moving on to Flin Flon and Estevan, another team taking a 2-0 series lead, and another rink that
can't win there.
Very difficult to win there, and that's the Flin Flon Bombers earning a pair of wins over the Estevan Bruins in the rematch of last year's final. But Flin Flon holding serve and playing very well at home despite still having some players out of their lineup.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, you get Jaden Mercier and Jacob Vockler back, and you plug them into any lineup in the SJHL, and it's going to make a huge impact. Jacob Vockler stretching back to his injury in mid-February has points in 14 of 15 games. Like, he is a problem. Obviously, I've talked at length about Jaden Mercier. He's been out longer than Vockler was from back to January even, and they just stepped in and no problem. And it makes me think, maybe I don't know any information, but it makes me think that Mike Reagan was saying, you know what, we're in the playoffs. You guys make sure you're 100% for when the playoffs, come. And,
right.
and that Flin Flon team, they didn't let the Estevan Bruins breathe. It was 3-0 within 13 minutes there in game one. And again, hard to blame Cam Hrdlicka because it was coming in waves for Flin Flon. And we've talked about this all years, boys, at the Whitney Forum. It can feel like an avalanche is falling down on you from the sky. But the question then is, and, I'll throw it out there, like the finals last year, nobody lost on the road. Or is Estevan in any sort of trouble, or is it simply a case of you're not in trouble until you lose at home?
I think it's the one series where you'll maybe look at it and be like, well, of anyone coming back down 2-0, you have to give it to the Bruins just based off of what happened in the past.
Yeah, right.
Flin Flon, seems to struggle at Affinity Place, and Estevan notoriously just can't win up in the Whitney Forum, right? They didn't win in the playoffs. They didn't win in the regular season this year. Last year in the finals, they can't win in the Whitney Forum. Flin Flon in the playoffs since 2018 at the Whitney Forum, 14-2. 2 losses in 4 years there in the playoffs. It's wild, but the way they make it work for themselves, it's simple. They dump every puck in. They aim for that opposite corner. It ejects very often back in front of the net. They'll throw every puck on net. They get traffic in front. If it goes back to the blue line, they're not holding on to it for too long. It's just pucks in towards the net or into a corner if you don't have a lane towards the net, and then go and get it. They're the best team at doing that, especially at home, and it's a nightmare to defend because of how quick they're on you. If you don't get that puck out, first pass clean, you're going to struggle, and that's what happened early in that 3-0 deficit they fell into.
Yeah, and the Bruins, to their credit, like 4-1 and 5-2 games. Again, it doesn't look amazing, but, the Bruins really was kind of a short period of madness that really killed the Bruins both games, really.
Yeah.
In the first game, I said it was the first 13 minutes, and then things kind of calmed down. The Bruins played a lot better, and then it was sort of 6 minutes to start the third in game two that undid the Bruins. And you talked about that start, Rory. You're so big, and you're so right about, like, how do you start games? That is so critical. Flin Flon outshot Estevan 17-7 in the first period in game one, 17-6 in the first period in game two, 34-13 combined. And again, Flin Flon's going to put pucks on everybody. They always do. Getting those guys back is huge. But as we were just talking about, you talked about Flin Flon's record. Estevan was 8-0-1 at Affinity Place last year in the playoffs too. So I know Estevan fans can be emotional people. We love you. calm down, get yourself a tall glass of milk. It's okay. It's a long series. You need to win 4, and Estevan is great at affinity, and the travel is the same for both teams.
Yep.
It's a long way. Again, didn't go great up in Whitney, but we got a long way to go in this one.
I'm surprised that Nugsy didn't mention who was the one team to beat Estevan at home last year in the playoffs. He left that one off the board.
Try not to be predictable.
I'm a little shocked.
I should also say the last team to beat the Flin Flon Bombers in regulation in the playoffs were the Notre Dame Hounds back in 2018. Yeah. Chaz Smedzrud, who's at the Union College D1 right now, great player. He had a hat trick that night, and that was a fun night. The Hounds lost 2 in a row in Wilcox at the Survivor Series, but we won't have to talk about that. But anyways, both these teams are awesome at home, is my point.
I will say, though, in the Whitney Forum, and we saw it a couple times throughout these 2 games, there's not a building in this league where just funky goals happen.
Yep.
And it's because they throw the puck towards wherever. It could be 8 feet wide, it ricochets off a leg, and then it's in the back of your net. It's demoralizing for a team when it happens. It seems to happen a lot for the Flin Flon Bombers. It won't happen as much as Affinity plays. So Estevan just got to stick to the game. I believe they're not in trouble.
But to that point, like, they throw pucks wherever. I think that's... you're not trying to be pejorative. You're not trying to put them down. Obviously, that's a positive. They manage the puck so well. Mm-hmm. You know, Noah Houle and Von Sprecken and Corey King. Like, are these electric? Reese Richmond, are these electric offensive defensemen? I wouldn't say so. I think they're good players all around. They're very hard to play against. They put pucks in good spaces
100%.
for their forwards to go get. They manage the puck so well. They're so rarely in trouble on counter transition situations, and that's part of it. And we'll see how that translates to Affinity. But you're right. They know the little voodoo magic in the walls there for sure.
We didn't even talk about their defense, though, which is as smothering as any in front of their own net. They clean the house better than anyone else. So I mean, they're good.
And to add to the point of throwing the puck into the corners and the wonky goals and the wonky bounces, it's impossible for a goaltender to read anything.
They don't know.
And that's why the goalies usually, I've always found at the Whitney Forum, as a visiting team, you tell your goalie to just stay in the net.
Yeah.
Stay in the net because you never know what's going to happen when it comes to the pucks bouncing off the end wall. Final series to get to before we go to break. The Melfort Mustangs and LaRange Ice Wolves. We knew this series was going to be fast. We knew it was going to be heated. We knew it was going to be nasty. And we knew it was going to be a very close series. And they split the first 2 games, and I don't know if you could ask for 2 closer games. A very entertaining start to this one.
Yeah.
Rory, your thoughts?
How big was that comeback for the Melfort Mustangs?
Huge.
To be down the first game, losing that one to LaRange, you get back on it. You're like, all right, we're going to take this one. Fall down 2-0 to LaRange in your own building. I can imagine, that's some nervous hockey. You lose both and go back up to the Mel.
Yeah.
It's gonna be tough. So, and then you had Ben Tkachuk, right? Another catalyst tying the game. Overtime winner, Zach Summers. So, those goal scorers were who they needed, but that is as big of a victory and a comeback I think the Melfort Mustangs have ever won. And it's huge to even that series going back up to the Mel.
And you mentioned the OT winner, so let's see it. The OT winner, our Tourism Saskatchewan highlight of the week from Saturday night.
Pressure on. Long pass, looking towards center ice. Olofsson busts that one up. He just fires it into the near side corner, goes off on a line change. Summers has some room. Short side, he scores! Zach Summers! Overtime winner! And the Mustangs tie the series at 1, and a big win as Trevor Blevins, ecstatic as he goes in, kicks the door into the room, and the Mustangs get back into this series with a quick overtime winner by Zach Summers, and what a beauty it was.
Sorry, Nugsy, that was too good of a segue to not throw it to it. All right, Nugsy, your thoughts?
Well, first of all, great play by Riley Ash there
on the forecheck,
on the forecheck to make that happen for Zach Summers, who how often has he scored a big goal for Melfort this year? But Rory, your X factors, Johnny on the spot, especially for Melfort there, Ben Tkachuk. Not only did he score the tying goal there on a power play through a screen, but he took the puck out of the corner that set up Clark Huxley's goal to start the comeback. Because if it wasn't for Ben Tkachuk dragging the Melfort Mustangs back into this, not that the Mustangs played bad, just every bounce was going LaRange's way for about 5.5 periods there. They outshot LaRange bad in game 1 too. So it wasn't like Trevor Blevins probably was furious or anything with his team, but just the bounces were going the Orange's way. But Ben Tkachuk, that force of will, when we interviewed him on the show, could see the fire in his eyeballs. If Ben Tkachuk is saying, "I'm going to drag you with me," like, you are coming, because he's a great captain, a great leader, and he put his money where his mouth is. There are 5 minutes or so left in that game too, because again, you talked about it there, Rory. Belfort going up to the Mel down 2-rep would have been a big problem.
It would have, yeah. And I mean, Joel Favreau, he did what he needed to do. He picked up the victory, right? But maybe a game or a couple moments that he'd want back, because Dawson Smith outplayed him, and really gave the Larange that first victory. Almost had the second one. So again, a series that no one surprised went to overtime. No one surprised went 1-1, and no one will be surprised if it goes to Game 7. That was just a huge win for the Melfort Mustangs.
And it was just like Nugsy likes it. It was physical. It was nasty. Those two teams definitely don't like each other. And one thing I want to give a shout out to before we get a break is I was at Game 2. Shout out to the LaRonge Ice Wolves fans for traveling down for those two games, because they had a full section Saturday night at the Northern Lights Palace, and it was loud. It was very loud in that rink. But that's going to be a great series, and it has been a great series so far. After the break, we are going to be joined by Humboldt Broncos forward Lucas Ceccarelli, get his thoughts on the team being up 2-0 so far against the Nipawin Hawks, as well as much, much more coming up after the break. This is SJHL Weekly across the SJHL social media platforms.
The Chevrolet Silverado 1500. Advanced power and capability to tackle the long hauls. Style to make a statement on the streets. Visit ChevroletOffers.ca to learn more.
Give me more, yeah. Give me more. You got that thing that I'm looking for. Yeah, give me more.
At Viterra, we believe in the power of connection. Our world-leading agriculture network connects producers and consumers to supply top-quality food ingredients each and every day. Our team takes great pride in working closely with farmers to help feed the world. It's something we've been doing for over 100 years. And as an industry leader, we're dedicated to playing a critical role in meeting the needs of a growing world. Because together, we're stronger and achieve more.
The SJHL raffle is underway with your chance to win a brand new Polaris side-by-side, courtesy the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League. Tickets are available now until April 23rd, with the draw taking place live on SJHL Insiders April 27th. 1 for $25, 3 for $60, or 10 for $100. But there are only 5,000 tickets available. Get yours today at sjhlraffle.ca.
Hey boys, we got a new guy coming out for practice today. This is Colin. Please give him a warm welcome.
Hey guys.
Hey Colin. There's your gear. Get all suited up for practice and we'll get ready to go.
Does this go in or out?
It goes in, yeah.
Yeah, it's just the front.
Yeah, there you go.
This feels a little bit small.
It's a player chest protector.
This is a player chest protector. So clearly it's important that I got the right equipment on to do this particular job.
Yeah, no doubt. Otherwise bad things can happen, you can get hurt.
Well, you guys are gonna show me how to do this right?
Of course.
Is that natural?
There you go, yeah. Looks good.
We're all stretched out. This is a lot like mentally preparing at the workplace and being physically ready.
New guy, you're in. Keep your stick down, Colin.
Yeah, keep that down and deflect them away.
Good job, Colin.
Training like this, just when you start off, is super difficult, but if you keep on it, it gets easier and you get better.
The right training, the right advice, the right support, get the right equipment, your career is going to be a whole lot longer, whether it be here or on the construction site.
Welcome back to SJHL Weekly across the SJHL social media platforms. It's Jamie, Rory, and Jeremy. Thanks so much for joining us. And we're now going to head to the video chat line where we're joined by Humboldt Broncos forward Lucas Ceccarelli. Sorry, Lucas. Lucas, how are we doing today?
Oh no, do we go?
Lucas, can you hear us? No sound. Oh boy, guys.
Oh man.
Guys in the back got to get to work. Well, we'll say this about
Clark,
Lucas.
you'll figure it out.
We'll say this about Lucas Ceccarelli. He had a great first 2 games for the Humboldt Broncos, and their 2 wins.
Yeah, 3 points in game number 1. You know, he's one of the best defensive players in the SJHL. His ability to use that stick to turn over pucks and then turn it into offense. And, I mean, he's a point-per-game player, but he doesn't play power play. So he's doing this all even strength, which really adds to sort of the impact that he has on the team. And then you add in the PK factor, 8 shorthanded goals on the first-place penalty kill unit as well. It's there's a lot to like. I always believe that he's been a D1 player. You know, I'm not sure how close he is to that. I'm sure there's teams that are interested, but he's just kind of that under the radar player that does so many right things that I think a team would be really fortunate to take.
Yeah, there are 2 things that he does, and I'm sure that Scott Barney and yourself have a long list, but there are 2 things that I love that he does on a very regular basis. The first thing he does is win faceoffs. I love a guy that can win faceoffs. He's a machine. He would take all the big ones if there wasn't some guy named Ethan Zilke also on the team who's probably better at taking faceoffs by a smidge, but we'll ask Lucas about that if we get the opportunity. The second thing he does, and I noticed this right away, and I've talked to Scott Barney about it, he negates a lot of icings, since they have the rules now that if you can race to get the icing and you can negate it. He's so good at anticipating when the Broncos, there's an opportunity for him to beat out the other team, be just that little bit more mentally switched on. And he does a lot of his best work, Rory, because he's able to be so mentally switched on. I don't know, where he gets that from, but he's just, there hasn't been a minute really I've watched the Broncos where Ceccarelli hasn't been mentally engaged, and that is as impressive as a skill as any kind of skill that you can have in this game.
Well, and to have a regular season like he did where he was a point-per-game player, and like to your point, Rory, where you're not playing power play and you're able to produce that, you're right. In my opinion, you're right. He's definitely a Division I player. That's maybe something's in the works for him, but, a strong playoffs could potentially help him in that.
Oh, absolutely. You go on a deep playoff run where, you're not only providing the offense, but the defensive structure that's needed in the postseason. It's going to have a lot of eyes, especially if the Broncos are able to move into, the second round, potentially the championship. It's 100% going to have a lot of eyes. You talk about that mental preparedness. Well, his dad was a professional soccer goalkeeper, so maybe, it runs in the family. It was instilled in him as a young age, and I know you're a big soccer fan. It's kind of a cool little story with his dad, Paulo Ceccarelli, part of the, Canadian national team at one point as a goalkeeper.
Yeah, it was national team. He played for what was then the Montreal Impact. They're now in the MLS. But they weren't at that time. But still, very, very neat. And I have to mention this because Roy loves when I mention where kids are from.
Yeah.
He's from sort of one town north of me. I'm from Thornhill, Ontario. He's from Richmond Hill, Ontario. Played for my good buddy Mark Joslin in U16 back in Ontario. So I asked Mark about him when the Broncos signed him, and he had nothing but good things to say. And I'd love to talk to Lucas.
I mean, it's possible? In the works. Okay. We're still having some technical difficulties on getting Lucas. Do you have some Ontario-based questions for him? Is that why you're so excited, or what?
A couple. I mean, I want to hear his some impressions. We'll get to that. I want to hear our good friend. So Mark Joslin, I don't know if that last name is familiar to any of you guys. But Derek Joslin played for the San Jose Sharks, and Mark Joslin's his uncle. Brett Joslin is Mark Joslin's kid, and Brett coached Lucas in U18, or midget as they used to call it. with the Richmond Hill Coyotes, which is a great organization just north of Toronto also. So I've been looking forward to talk to Lucas for a long time, mostly because this show I find mostly is about my entertainment and my enjoyment, and not really about your guys out there. No, I'm just kidding. But he's also a great player, and I agree 100%, Rory, that he could do a job at the D1 level. And the biggest element to that is the first question any scout will ask is, can he skate? And that's not a trouble either. He can really fly as well. So, he's kind of got all the tools to do a job. I think the only question is, does he get enough key minute ice time in terms of having that power play? People want to see guys put up big numbers, which he does. But, there are just so many mouths to feed in Humboldt. I think that might be a problem to some small degree for him. So we'll see.
All right. Well, it sounds like we have Lucas Ceccarelli now on the video chat line. So let's go right to it. Lucas, can you hear us? Are we good?
Yeah, there we go.
We got it figured out. All right. Lucas Ceccarelli, Humboldt Broncos. Lucas, thanks so much for taking the time to join us. We apologize for the technical difficulties. How's it going today?
Yeah, going well. Just had practice. Just got back home, and thanks for having me.
Perfect. Well, I'll start with a nice, easy question for you. You guys hold serve at home, 2 big wins over the Nipawin Hawks in game 1 and 2. What'd you think of your team's performance?
I thought we came out well. Getting pucks to the net, and then obviously getting up early in both games helped us quite a bit. Good crowd. Definitely helped, and I thought we played solid for 60 minutes in both games.
Yeah, Lucas, I got to ask you, Scott Barney has shown, that he's been able to bring in, experienced guys, like Jacob Boucher, for example, and then, also really trust younger guys like Matthew Van Blericom, like Karsten Keeter. How much emphasis did you, as an older guy, and obviously Ethan Zilke and Cage Newens, and the list goes on, to try to make their lives not easy, but to help them, really come in and teach them a few things and really set them up to succeed and help them be in a position to succeed this year?
Yeah, we definitely have some good veteran presence in the room, and I think it's important to show those young guys the ropes, kind of. And they've come to us if they need stuff. We try and help them where we can. They're obviously really good players, so they don't need help on the ice. Just kind of getting them up to speed, off ice stuff. How to act, all that stuff. But they're good kids, so it's been pretty easy with them.
I just want to piggyback off that experience question. Of course, last year, a tough series against the Flin Flon Bombers. Basically every game, a 1-goal game, prototypical playoff hockey. Now you have that experience from that, along with a lot of Broncos that are going to bring it into this year's playoffs. What did you learn from that series and what it takes to, finish off a 7-game series?
Yeah, that was a tough one. Those 5 games, I think. The total score is like 7-5 or something like that. Yeah. So definitely, the offense. It's tougher to come by in those series. You just gotta grind it out, type thing. Take care of your body is a big one too. I felt, we were pretty gassed, especially coming out of the Larange series in that one. So definitely taking better care of my body this season, and just gotta grind it out. It's playoff hockey.
Lucas, well, one of the things we've definitely praised the Humboldt Broncos about this year is the depth of this hockey team, and that includes in between the pipes. You guys, the last couple of months, have just been going back and forth between your 2 goaltenders. I just wanted to get your thoughts on being able to have 2 guys and have confidence in front with 2 guys in between the pipes. It doesn't matter who's in net.
Yeah, both of those guys have been solid. They've both arguably been number ones, and it just makes the whole game easier for us when we know we got either of them in net. They're going to be solid regardless, and helps us do our thing. It's probably not good to say, but you're a little more comfortable if they get a good chance or something like that. You got comfort in your goalies, and that's a huge thing as a player.
Yeah, no, Lucas, I think you're absolutely right. Like, I think teams can only function at their best if they trust their goalie. Like, that's just the way hockey is. Yeah. So great point by you. You know, I got to ask you too, you know, last year and in previous years, but I don't know how much context you had for that. You know, the Broncos seemed like they always played a team that was really far away, you know, in the playoffs. You know, either it's Flin Flon or it's L'Orange or whatever. It always seemed like it was the grindiest kind of matchup that the Broncos could possibly find for a couple of years there. Nothing about the Nipawin Hawks is easy. You know, they're a good team. You know this better than me from facing them. But obviously the travel, a little bit different, a little bit more familiarity in that route, and a little bit easier. Also very important for your fans to go up to Nipawin and make their presence felt. You know, how excited are you for this series, you know, given that the fact that the travel isn't as insane, and as there is, you know, an opportunity in a greater way for your great Broncos fans to come and join you guys up at the cage too?
Yeah, I mean, last year wasn't ideal staying in hotels in L'Orange and Flin Flon. I mean, this year I think we're going to be coming home between games, which is nice. You get to sleep in your own bed and stuff, and our fans are great, so we'll see them out there. We saw they came out to L'Orange last year, but I mean, it's a bit of a roadie for them, so we might get a bit more here, and yeah, it'll be exciting to see in the next two games.
You talked about the incredible starts you guys had in games 1 and game 2 to pick up that early 2-0 lead. Because of your starts, you were able just to roll your lines, which I was saying it's really taxing on the other team when the Broncos can just roll all 4 and try to wear you down. Is that when you believe you guys are at your best?
Oh, 100%. I mean, you could feel it when everyone's playing to their best. We have a really deep team and a lot of good players in the room, and you feel it. Like, there's one point in the first, I don't think Nipawin could get out of their own zone. They could barely get the red line, and just on the bench, just feeling that momentum. It's definitely different than when you're just you know, kind of grinding a game out or something, and there's only a couple guys are sitting and stuff like that. But once you get 4 lines into it, it's a completely different game.
All right, Lucas, last one from me before we go into Rory's interrogation, aka rapid fire. You know, one of the things that I like to talk about you is the fact that I'm always so mentally, you know, shut on, and even in the defensive zone. I know a lot of guys get excited to go play offense and score some goals and be part of that, and certainly I'm sure that's the case for you too. But it seems like that same level of effort and awareness is there, you know, in the D zone. Who taught you? Where did you learn, you know, to have that pride, I guess, in your D zone, in your penalty killing, which is as good as anybody in the league, your face-off work, you know, those details. Who taught you all that? Where'd you learn that?
Just from when I was a young kid. I mean, my coach, I had some really good coaches growing up. They always taught us, you know, D zone is just as important. Doesn't matter if you score 5 goals if you're going to let in 6. So I think it's definitely a big part of my game too, is using the D zone to, you know, steal a puck or something and then use it to create offense. I think also about being the most offensively talented as well, I gotta do some work in the D zone, play a role, and shut other teams down.
All right, it is that time. It's time for Rory's Rapid Fire. And like you do really well passing the puck, before we wrap it up, I will pass it to Nugie, who has a couple geographical questions based off of your two growing up.
York region. Woo.
So we will have a 2-part here, Rory's Rapid Fire. I'll start it off. We're going to do a fantasy draft after this segment with you. If you had the number 1 overall pick, are you taking yourself, or who are you taking?
For SJ or?
SJ.
SJ, and not taking myself. I'm taking myself first.
Anyone you want to throw out there?
Ethan Zilke.
Zilke, number 1 overall pick.
Boom.
Of course, we mentioned before, your dad was a professional soccer goalkeeper. Where do you rate your soccer skills compared to your hockey skills? Is that something you were good growing up as a kid as well?
Yeah, I was a soccer player till high school. I played quite a bit, and even still in sewer, I got it. I got good touch, good genes in soccer.
Perfect segue. Are you the best sewer player on the Broncos, or is there someone else that gives you a run?
I don't know if I'm the best. We have a good circle actually. Boucher's a good player. Nui. Nui always gives you a tough one. I wouldn't say I'm the best, but definitely up there. Top
All right, I got two more fun ones. The team's having a karaoke party. Who's running that and emceeing the karaoke party?
Good one.
Sam Marburg, for sure.
And the final one for you here. You're on a deserted island. Which teammate are you taking to help you survive, and which teammate do you not want to take?
To help me survive. Oof. Me and Zilks get along quite well, and he's got some common sense, so I'd probably take Zilks with me.
It's key.
Who wouldn't I take? Probably Chase Cook. I'm going to take Chase.
Okay. Yeah. All right, the assist now to Nugent.
There you go, the assist. Well, Lucas, as I was saying, I was very excited to interview you. I've been excited that you came in the league because I'm very good friends with Mark Joslin, your U16 coach.
Oh, yeah.
Good friends with Brett Joslin, your U18 coach, of course, father-son there in the Richmond Hill Coyotes. So I've known a bunch of good players out of the Coyotes. So I wanted to talk to you. First of all, are you from King City or Richmond Hill?
Grew up in King City, and then just recently we moved to Richmond Hill.
So what intersection?
Bloomington and Young and Bloomington, yeah.
Oh, so you're way up there. Okay, so you're almost on Aurora Tiger. Yeah. There you go.
Almost on Aurora, yeah.
There you go. So I got to ask you then. I'm from Thornhill, by the way, just north of Bathurst and Steeles. Okay. Everybody watching cares a ton. Okay, so again, this is just for me. Very excited. I want you to hear your best Mark Joslin impression.
Mark Joslin. Oh, I haven't played for him in years, but he had a couple good one-liners. Every morning, get on the ice, or I guess we practiced at night that time. First drill, if you messed it up, you just, wakey. That's great. Every time.
Yeah. He for those that guys don't know, this guy tries as hard as he can to be loud, but he can't be loud.
Perfect.
He's like, Dukesy, checker. All right, do your best Scott Barney impression now, because we got to involve the people around us.
Oh, Scott Barney. Dude. Barnes likes to crack jokes. He'll look at you. He'll give you one of these. He'll crack a joke, and then he'll look at you. Hey, checker. Yeah.
Well done.
Sounds very good.
Nailed 2 impressions. All right, checker. You know this as well as me. Everybody from where we're from loves sushi. I'm just guessing that you like sushi too. So, what is your favorite sushi roll?
Sushi roll? Oh, dynamite roll for sure.
Oh yeah, it's crazy, eh? There's so many sushi spots where we're from. And then last question for me is more relevant to the world we're in right now. So both you and Ethan Zilke are near the top in the league as face-off men. Out of 10 face-offs, you would have to take 10 face-offs. How much money, or how many face-offs would you bet money on that you would win versus Ethan Zilke out of those 10?
I beat him today in practice. I could probably go 70% on Zilks.
Wow.
There you go. I love it. Number. You got to bet on yourself. You got to bet on yourself on the sewer game, too. Got to represent York Region. Love it.
That went off the rails.
That did get off the rails. But you know what? Sometimes that's what this program's all about. Lucas, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it. And best of luck in Game 3 and 4 in Nipawin.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, guys.
That is Lucas Ceccarelli of the Humboldt Broncos. Yeah, Nugsy, that might be the last time we incorporate you into the rapid fire.
I thought that was extremely entertaining.
It was?
You're all right.
Rory and I had no idea what you guys were talking about.
That's fine. You were entertained.
We were entertained. All right, we're going to throw it to break. Then coming up after the break, we're going to hand out some weekly awards. And then we're going to have some more entertainment because we got our SJHL Playoff Fantasy Draft. So we'll have more right after the break. This is SJHL Weekly across the SJHL social media platforms.
Thanks for helping me out and trying to protect me today. It's the kind of thing that, somebody comes out who's not ready, not prepared, and put into an awkward situation without somebody taking leadership and saying, hey, I'm going to protect you. It's going to shorten people's careers. And that's a big reason why we exist and, what drives us to do what we do.
They know how important their role is in the community, being a good leader, showing kids that there is a right and a wrong way to do things and leading the right way. being a positive role model to not just kids in the community, but anybody in the community.
You know, Coach said a lot of great things that are really consistent with the values that we have at the SCSA, and, you know, respect for those around us, respect for those that we work side by side with, leadership, and part of that is being innovative and collaborative and solving problems together. Really, the last one that you touched on was integrity, doing what's right and doing it the right way, and those things just yield incredible results, not just in terms of making things safe, but really being productive and striving, whether it be, you know, in a game or in your life or in your business.
I think absolutely we try and fill the roles of all those values and just try to be the best people we can, really, not only for ourselves but for our teammates and for the community around us.
Have a lot of fun today. Thanks, guys.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
The Chevrolet Silverado 1500. Advanced power and capability to tackle the long hauls. Style to make a statement on the streets. Visit ChevroletOffers.ca to learn more.
Give me more, yeah. Give me more. You got that thing that I'm looking for. Yeah, give me more.
At Viterra, we believe in the power of connection. Our world-leading agriculture network connects producers and consumers to supply top-quality food ingredients each and every day. Our team takes great pride in working closely with farmers to help feed the world. It's something we've been doing for over 100 years. And as an industry leader, we're dedicated to playing a critical role in meeting the needs of a growing world. Because together, we're stronger and achieve more.
The SJHL raffle is underway with your chance to win a brand new Polaris side-by-side, courtesy the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League. Tickets are available now until April 23rd, with the draw taking place live on SJHL Insiders April 27th. 1 for $25, 3 for $60, or 10 for $100. But there are only 5,000 tickets available. Get yours today at sjhlraffle.ca. Welcome back to SJHL Weekly across the SJHL social media platforms. It's Jamie, Rory, and Jeremy. Thank you so much for joining us on this off day in the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League playoffs. Action resumes tomorrow night with 4 Game 3s on tap, but it is time now to hand out some players of the week. And the way we did it was because of those makeup games that took place Monday and Tuesday, we incorporated that into last week. So this one's just for the playoff games, which was the right thing to do. Let's start with SGU MVP of the week. There were a couple of really good performances this week, Rory, but we ended up going with Cian Bell of the Battleford North Stars, 5 goals, and I mean, he scored 5 of their 7 goals in 2 games.
Yeah, I mean, if that's not most valuable player scoring 5 out of 7, I'm going to 75% of the basically of the goals, right?
About
80%. Then I don't really know what is. He's the MVP of the regular season and picked up right where he left off. Yeah, if you score 5 goals, including a 4-goal game, it's really tough to take an accolade away from you. So Cian Bell, once again, that proponent of the North Stars attack. Weyburn slowed him down a bit in Game 1 and then couldn't contain him in Game 2.
Well, they slowed down everyone but Cian Bell for the most part. I mean, with 5 of the 7. But congratulations to Cian, SGU MVP of the week for the first week of the playoffs. Moving on, SaskTel goalie of the week. And it was Harman Laser-Hume of the Flin Flon Bombers. Just the 3 goals against Nugsy in 2 games, a .949 save percentage, making his debut in the playoffs for the Flin Flon Bombers. And so far, so good for Harman Laser-Hume.
Yeah, and you say like 2 kind of dominating looking wins for the Flin Flon Bombers up there. The Estevan Bruins got their chances. They came into the game, and Harman did a great job, as he's done all year, of making the saves that Mike Reagan and his team asks him to make. What more can he do, right? Is make the saves that are in front of him, and that's what he did. 150 goals against, 949 save percentage, as you said, and he's going to keep needing to be good for this Flin Flon Bombers team because as the competition continues to grow, going into Affinity Place,
right?
That's the question mark: is can they keep the puck out? And Harman so far so good.
Well, and that was the question mark for not just the Bombers but across the SJHL going into the playoffs was the lack of experience in between the pipes, and so far so good for Harman Laser-Hume. So congratulations to Harman SaskTel, goalie of the week. Moving on, Direct West Rookie of the Week, and we're sticking with the Flin Flon Bombers, Alexi Silvestri. Rory, we've talked about, especially the last month or so, about Flin Flon and their injury situations, and Silvestri's really stepped up, and he proved it once again with 2 goals and an assist this weekend.
Certainly has. He's a type of player that you would love to have on any team, especially in the playoffs. Yeah. He's big, he's strong, he still can skate. He's not slight of foot. But 3 points in 2 games. They still are missing Tremblay. They're still missing Dupro, right? We don't know when they're going to come back. So he's going to be a big part of having this Flin Flon Bombers trying to get back into the finals. A great start for him, but I just love that combination of size and speed and knack around the net. They had Kuzma last year. Can Silvestri replicate a little bit of that dirty work in front? We'll definitely see it. I think he can.
Well, and that size, physicality, and the speed, especially in the Whitney Forum in a smaller rink.
Awesome.
It's very tough to compete against. So congratulations to Alexi Silvestri, Direct West Rookie of the Week. And finally, Super U Defenseman of the Week. This one coming, Nugsy, from the Weyburn Red Wings, being Blake Norris, a goal and 2 assists. Obviously, they earned the split, and Blake Norris was a big part of it.
Yeah, I thought Blake Norris was awesome since Weyburn got him from Steinbach last year in that Bernie trade. But really very, very good puck-moving defenseman. He's really starting to come into his own offensively. He's 3, so he could theoretically come back next year too. But scored a goal on a power play, one of those 4 power play goals for Weyburn. Kind of a free roll, big part of breaking the puck out. Plays really big minutes for Weyburn as well on the top pairing, and he's doing a good job being hard to play against too. That was the only question that anybody had really for him. He had the skill, he could skate, he could break out a puck as well as anybody in this league. Question was, could it be hard to play against in his own zone? And first 2 games up in the ACC, which is a hard place to be.
Yes, it is.
Did a good job.
He did a good job. All right, so quickly in recap, SGU MVP of the week, Kian Bell of the Battlefords North Stars, 5 goals in 2 games. SaskTel Goalie of the Week, Harman Laser-Hume, the Flin Flon Bombers, just the 3 goals against, a 949 save percentage in 2 wins for Flin Flon over the weekend. Direct West Rookie of the Week, Alexi Silvestri of the Flin Flon Bombers, 2 goals and an assist in 2 games. And Super U Defenseman of the Week, Blake Norris of the Weyburn Red Wings, a goal and 2 assists. So congratulations to all 4 players for winning the Player of the Week honors. Now it's time to move on. We're all very excited for this. Our SJHL Playoff Fantasy Draft. We're also going to have, you're not going to be able to see them.
Are we going to have a voice of God action here?
We are going to have producer Clark.
Better put my earbud back.
Put your headphone on. Producer Clark is going to be hopefully making his picks via audio. Clark, do you want to try and test out your audio?
Yeah, how's this sounding, guys? Does this work?
I got him.
We can hear you.
I got him.
Hopefully the fans at home can hear you, but we can hear you.
I'm sure they'll let us know.
Yeah, let us know in the comments below if you can hear producer Clark. If you can't, we'll just announce his picks.
So I guess we got to run through what the parameters we set,
yes.
Right?
So our parameters are 3 forwards, 2 defensemen, and we didn't go with goalies because...
Too weighted.
Very weighted. They would be too overpowered, as the kids would say. And Rory, you conducted a random draft lottery.
I did, yeah. Between the 4 of us.
Between the 4 of us.
You were lucky enough to win the first pick.
You know what? Very fortunate.
Yeah. You were the first pick, so you're on the clock.
Am I on the clock? Okay, I'm on the clock. So, and I'm going to keep track of everyone's picks. And then what we're going to do, just before I get into the first pick, is we're going to post everyone's rosters. And you, the fan at home, will tell us whose team do you like the most.
Yeah.
And then we'll see at the end of the playoffs who won. And I'm sure we'll figure out a prize between the 4 of us who wins. All right, I get first pick. You know what? I'll take SGU MVP of the week, Kian Bell. I mean, he had 5 goals. That's a pretty easy pick to
Yeah,
make,
I think that's, you get that first pick. It's going to be off the board.
Gives me time to think on the next one.
And we are doing snake order. And
so,
I was the second pick here, so I'm going to go with the other player with 5 points already. Easy pick, and Cage Newens to the Humboldt Broncos. You can cross him off and put him on my team.
Cage Newens to Rory. Do you have a team name?
I'll think of that in a bit.
Cool. Nugsy, you are on the clock.
Well, I wasn't expecting Holden Dole to be available. Goodness gracious! But you know what? I'm gonna try to be smart for the first time one of the first times in my life.
Well, give yourself some credit. Come on.
I'm gonna go with the guy who I think is gonna have the most points by a defenseman, probably by a little bit in this league, and that is Tynan Ewert, the SJHL defenseman of the league, because it's hard to find defensemen that put up points.
I think that's a smart strategy. Going D-man first when you don't get the first 2 picks. I like it. I like that.
That is a very interesting pick. All right,
back to back now.
Producer Clark, your voice is on the clock for picks 4 and 5. Whenever you're ready.
Well, geez, guys, I didn't think I was going to have these 2 available to me. I'm going to go with Holden Dole at 4.
Okay.
And Jake Southgate at 5.
Oh.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
That's not too bad.
Dang, that's some pretty good picks. All right. Oh, boy.
So it's me now.
I did not expect that.
Back to you, Nugsy. Yeah.
Yeah, back to you, Nugsy.
Okay. Well, so then, given how how he seems like he's come out absolutely blazing, I'm going to go with Mr. Jacob Vockler from the Flin Flon Bombers.
Jacob Vockler to the Team Nugs.
I'm going to get
I was trying to think of something creative there for a team name, but I couldn't.
I got to get one off the Battleford's North Stars. Now that the top 3 are gone, I'm going to pick who I think is the best all-around player on that team, and Steve Kesslering is going to be my second pick.
Too. Great pick, Rory.
Thank you very much.
All right, I'm on the clock.
I
got back-to-back picks too. Okay, so actually, because I want to get the bump. I want to get the SJHL weekly bump.
Yeah, okay.
So I'm taking Lucas Ceccarelli.
Oh, there it is. Yeah,
because I want the SJHL weekly bump, as we've talked about all year long. If you're on SJHL weekly, you get a bump. So guess what? He's going to get a bump, and it's going to help excel my SJHL fantasy team. And I'm also going to take... I should probably take a defenseman. So I'll take Reese Richmond of the Flin Flon Bombers.
That's where I was going.
You know what? I thought about going 3 forwards right off the hop, but you know what? I should probably take a defenseman.
Yeah.
Back to you, Rory.
All right, let's go on the blue line there. No Richmond, no Ewert. Don't believe he's in the top 20 yet, but he does play a lot of minutes. Let's go with Dalen Weigel as my first defenseman off the clock.
Good pick.
Nice.
Nugsy, you are up.
Oh, man.
Thought you were doing prep all night for this.
Yeah.
No, I actually was not at all doing any prep whatsoever. But I am going to go with a guy who I was just talking about, who I don't think his start is any sort of flash in the pan. I think, as I said, I think he's built for the playoffs. I'm going to go with Spencer Bell of the Humboldt Broncos.
3 goals already.
Yeah, 3 goals
good
already.
pick.
And the way that he plays the game is perfect for the playoffs.
So Spencer Bell to Nugsy. All right, producer Clark, let's bring your voice back in. Let's get the key up so people know. There he is. Clark, whenever you are ready, you have 2 picks.
Okay, so I hope I didn't miss a pick because
you know what? I just want to say that would be so producer Clark if you say a player that's already been picked. I want you to know that.
Jordan was talking to me in the back room here, and I feel like I missed Rory's second pick.
Okay. Well, hey, do you know what? Before you make your picks,
you want me to recap it?
I can recap it. Okay, so right now on Team Jeromy, it's Kean Bell, Lucas Ceccarelli, and Reese Richmond. On Team Rory, it's Cage Newens, Steve Kesslering, and Dalen Weigel. And on Team Nugsy, it's Jacob Vockler, Spencer Bell, and Tynan Ewert.
I have a request.
And Nugsy has a request.
Could I switch that last pick? Please?
No.
Please. Okay.
You are not allowed.
I think you're penciled.
You've already locked. You walked up to the stage and you already made your pick.
I do like Spencer Bell. I guess I'd be my best.
So, producer Clark, whenever you're ready, you are on the clock for 2 picks. And if you would like to explain your picks, I don't think we handed you these ones like last time.
Yeah, fair enough. I still think you did, though. And before Rory can take this next guy, I'm going to take him. I'm going to take Jacob Boucher, please, for my whatever pick this is in the draft.
That was you went all 3 forwards first. Interesting strategy, Clarkie.
I figured I could find some value on the blue line.
Okay. Okay.
So with the next pick, I'm going to go with Cole Tanchuk from the Flin Flon Bombers. 3 points in the first 2 games. I'll take it.
All right.
Is that back to me? No, it's back to Nugsy.
Yeah, back to Nugsy now. We're in the just to break it down. We're in the 4th round. 4th round of 5.
Okay. So what you're saying is I get the guy that I wanted to switch to.
There you go.
Anyway,
well, there you go. So why were you? Yeah, you're fine.
So, with my next pick, and I'm just hoping that yeah. Anyways, the next pick is Mr. Jaden Mercier of the Flin Flon Bombers, which I should have picked with my last pick. But I'm very happy that he's still available right now, Mr. Jaden Mercier.
Yeah, I just got my last 2 picks stolen. I was going to go Jacob Boucher, and I was going to go Mercier, and they both got taken from me. Okay.
I just want to point something out, Rory, before you make a pick here.
Yeah, okay.
I'm just looking at the draft board. And see, before we get into it, playoff drafts are always interesting because you kind of, obviously, once players get eliminated, you're not going to generate points. So what I would like to point out is that so far, only players from 3 teams have been taken.
That is true.
I just want to point that out for the fans at home.
I know, and I mean, I want to stay. I love the Melfort and Larange players if they get to the 2nd round. I just want to.
You don't know who it's gonna be, though.
It's a tough.
I just feel more confident going with those 3 teams that have had, that have finished the league in 1, 2, and 3. I am going to stick with it. No more Jacob Boucher on there, so I'll take Alex Soretsky as my final forward.
Alex Soretsky.
Yes, sir.
2-team. Rory. So that means I'm up for 2. Sweet.
Final picks here for you.
Yeah, it is final picks here for me. Oh, boy. I would like, for my final forward, I would like captain of the Humboldt Broncos, Ethan Zulke.
It's a good pick.
To join my team. Defenseman, who do I want? All right, let's see who's still on the board, folks. It's always tricky when you get down to the nitty-gritty of the draft and you get down to the final picks. That's where I'm trying to find value, you know? That's where you try to find value in it. So I think I'm going to go a little risky. We're going to go a little risky on this. And we are going to go from a team that's not the Humboldt Broncos, Flin Flon Bombers, or Balfour North Stars. And I'm going to go with Kevin Minnock of the Melfort Mustangs.
It's a strong pick.
I like that.
So, my team is wrapped up. Rory, your final pick, you need a defenseman.
I need a defenseman.
Actually, worth mentioning, everyone's 5th round, you need a defenseman.
That's right. Yeah, and you just took Minnock off the board there. I mean, if I go back to the Broncos, I'm quite loaded up on them.
Very tough, very tough.
Yeah, let's go Noah Barloggy.
Noah Barloggy.
Yeah, let's go 4 out of 5.
There you go.
All right. Nugsy, your final pick.
Well, Barloggy was taken there, so I am going to diversify more portfolio. Not as aggressively as that guy over there, but Mr. Reese Richmond. Blood and soul.
So this is
he's already picked.
He's already picked.
Who was he picked?
I took him.
He's already picked.
Which is funny because I totally thought Clark would be the one to
Wasn't listening.
No, it was Nugsy.
Thanks a lot, Jer.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Great. So, okay then. We are getting down to it then. I guess I'll just put my eggs in the pot then and go with the other kind of experienced guy on the back end there in Battleford, Mr. Tanner Gold.
Okay.
Go with Tanner Gold.
Tanner Gold.
I don't think you can ever go wrong with the Battleford's North Star, right? A lot of the consensus team to win the SJHL championship.
So I got their top pair basically right now.
All right.
Gold,
The draft is almost complete. Producer Clark, one more time. The voice from heaven. Come on in. You need a defenseman. Who is your final pick?
I'm going to take the hometown boy from Battleford's, Zane Florence. I'm going to go with Zane Florence on this one. 30 points this year, 30 points last year. I like it.
All right.
I like that pick too, actually.
I like that pick
Florence.
as well.
That's a sneaky last pick.
You know what? I'm going to say, guys, that went a lot smoother than I thought it was going to be. I thought there was going to be multiple scenarios where we accidentally took picks of what?
Yeah.
We did pretty good.
Well, you had to pick guys that like you just kind of think are going far. Like,
well, that's
like I love Liam McInnes. Like I think he's been unstoppable for Larange, but how
just
far
don't know.
are they going to go? You don't know. It's so hard to pick Melfort or Larange guys because one of those teams are done, but there's so many good players on those teams. It's frustrating.
Yes, well, and that's why I thought that was a high risk, high reward potentially pick.
Smart.
So let's in recap. So we'll go in order. So my team is Kean Bell, Lucas Ceccarelli, Ethan Zilke, Reese Richmond, Kevin Minnock.
It's pretty strong.
Rory's team is Cage Newens, Stephen Kesslering, Alex Soretsky, Dalen Weigel, and Noah Barloghi. Noogsy's team, Jacob Vockler, Spencer Bell, Jaden Mercier, Tynan Ewert, and Tanner Gold. And Clarkie, his team is Holden Dole, Jake Southgate, Jacob Boucher, Cole Tanchuk, and Zane Flores.
It's going to be a close finish. I think those are 4 good teams.
Those are some good teams.
Yeah, those are
some pretty good teams.
I'm excited to see how that plays out.
I'm so relieved that Jaden was available.
yeah. Why? Especially when you try to.
He's like the 3rd best player in the league.
Especially when you tried to make a change.
Yeah.
You're lucky Clarkie didn't come in.
Clark,
Clark gave it back after we handed him the 2 guys from Battleford.
He made great choices, too.
Anyways,
I think overall, some great teams. Stay tuned to the SJHL social media. You can let us know what you think of our teams. Before we wrap up for today, guys, let's talk a little bit. Games 3 and 4 of all these series taking place Tuesday, Wednesday. Lots of interesting and different storylines. I'll start with Noogsy on this one. What's your biggest storyline, in your opinion, going into Game 3?
My biggest storyline is, can the Weyburn Red Wings capture home ice, capture our attention? You remember last year, and I know you guys are going to laugh at me, and that's totally fine. Notre Dame also stole or took, or whatever you want to call it, Game 1 in Estevan and had a lot of hope coming back to Wilcox for Game 3. Weyburn took Game 1, deserved it. Will they take that hope back to Game 3 tomorrow and use that energy? I'm sure that crowd is going to be nuts in Weyburn. Very excited for that community. That's what I'm looking at.
Rory, what about you?
I'm surprised Noogsy left Jared Sitch on the board in our playoff draft.
Actually, he's assistant coach on the paper. Assistant coach Jared Sitch.
Love it.
It's the team's down 2-0 right now.
Yeah.
Nipawin Hawks and Estevan Bruins tomorrow. It's their first game at home. They need to win these games.
100%.
A 3-0 deficit is, almost impossible to climb out of. So huge games for Nipawin and Estevan. Flin Flon and Humboldt are going to try to make their statement even more impactful and really take that stranglehold on their series.
And then I'll say Melfort and Larange just because that's the one series left. And you know what? I was at Game 2. It was a very entertaining, physical contest between those 2 teams. I mean, all of us predicted that series to go 6 or 7 games. And in the smaller rink up in Larange, I think that's going to be a very hard-hitting, entertaining game. And, I mean, if that section of crowd in Melfort on Saturday is any indication how the crowd's going to be at the Mel. I mean, awesome. you were at the playoffs last year in the Mel.
Yeah.
It's going to be loud, and it's going to be...
They're on top of you, man. They're on top of you.
It's going to be a very difficult environment for the Melfort Mustangs. All right, let's take care of some housekeeping notes before we pitter-patter and get at her. Let's thank our sponsors. Canterra Seed, SaskTel, Capital Auto Mall, Saskatchewan Construction Safety Association, Chevrolet, Tourism Saskatchewan, Direct West, SGI, SGEU, Great Western, Young's Equipment, RBC. Thank you so much for your support, because without your support, these shows would not be possible. Big shout out, as you can see over my shoulder, a big sponsor of the 2023 playoffs. It's UPL. So big shout out to UPL as well. And another big thing that we need to mention, guys, is the SJHL raffle, because there's only about a month left to get tickets to potentially win a brand new side-by-side courtesy of the SJHL. Now, I don't know the exact number of tickets sold, but what I can tell you, and what I was told by a friend of the show, Director of Marketing and Promotions for the SJHL, Jacob Faith, ticket sales have picked up as the playoffs have begun. So that means you want to get your tickets sooner rather than later, before they are all gone. Do you guys have your tickets? they got their tickets and ready to go to potentially win a brand new side-by-side. The draw is going to be made April 27th live on SJHL Insider, and tickets are available until April 23rd. So just a little bit over a month. Now, lots going on in the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League with the playoffs, so be sure to stay up to date by following us across all of our social media. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, subscribe to the YouTube channel to stay up to date with everything you need to know on the 2023 playoffs presented by UPL. The first 2 games of each series was great, and the series are only going to get better as all 4 series resume tomorrow night, so stay up to date at sjhl.ca. For Jamie Neugebauer, Rory McGouran, my name's Jeromy Corrigan, and this has been another great episode of SJHL Weekly across the SJHL social media platforms. Enjoy the games this week, everyone.